Hey, this is Max at 343 Labs. We're a music production school based in New York City, Berlin, and online. And today I'd like to show you a clip by one of our instructors, John Selway, which is taken from 343 TV, which airs right here on our channel several days per week. Now, if you want to watch the full stream, head over to studio.343labs.com, link in the description, which is our new producer hub where you can meet other producers, get free content, collaborate, and get feedback on your music. Enjoy the clip.
So that's where we're starting, taking these parts from Alexander Kowalski's track, which is electro, and then making it techno and sort of redesigning it. And then the other limitation is I'm only using the audio, only using samples from the original. So I'm not, with maybe the exception of some drums. Actually, I have an extra kick and a hi-hat I added, but all of the sounds are based on the audio. So I'm not adding new synths, right? It's all audio / samples of the parts / effects and re-manipulating what he was giving me. So cool. Let's see now. Let's take a listen first to the original parts. A little, let's see. There we go. I was just trying to think there for a second how I had this set up. But I've got two groups of tracks. One is the remix stuff, and then the other, or the stuff that I've already worked on. And the other group of tracks is, these are just the parts as they are in the original. And these aren't arranged. I mean, they're laid out here on the timeline. It's not full stems of the entire arrangement. It's just 8 or 16 bar phrases or sections. And that's another thing I think about when I'm remixing. It's common nowadays for, to be provided with stems of the entire arrangement. And that's great when you're doing a song, right? You've got song structure, vocals, and you need the vocals laid out or the melodic elements laid out correctly. But a lot of times when you're doing kind of more loop-based, grooving electronic music, you want to deconstruct it. You want to take it back out of the arrangement and then sort of redo it. At least I prefer that. So a lot of times I don't even start with the stems or the parts on the timeline. But let's just check it out real quick. Let's hear what it sounds like as is. Right, so we got 8 bars of all the drums and some of the synth stuff, and then there's another extra 8 bars of the pads and the vocoder. Right, so nice parts, right? Very melodic. Definitely got that future electro vibe. I mean, it's sort of vintage / future, right? It's kind of straddling early and modern, I would say. And let's hear some of these parts by themselves, actually. One of the first things I do when I'm remixing is reject parts. If there's something in there, I'm like, nah. If I don't love the sound, or if I don't immediately get an idea for what to do with it, whether it's a musical idea or a composition, sound design idea, it's really, I go off my first reaction. So, all right, this is the bass line track. It's a little quiet. Let me turn that up a little bit. All right, very electro-y kind of a sound, right? It's got that zappy lasers thing on the top. It's not very deep bass. It's sort of hollow sounding, sort of resonant. But that's a maybe. I'm going to say that part's a maybe. Okay, and then we have this bells track. Sort of bell-like. I like this sound. I'm not immediately getting an idea for how to use it in a techno context. And I also, while I'm listening to these, I'm thinking about, like, where do I want to take the track, like, stylistically? Do I want it to be more stripped down and, beats and effects? Do I want it to still be very musical, just with a different drum rhythm underneath it? do I want to do like more kind of deconstructed sound design, or do I want to leave the synths as they are kind of thing? This one, maybe I could use it. If I stay in a more melodic direction, I would use it as is. But also, I could like chop it, loop it, take little bits of it, right? This one, I feel like I like the tone of it, so I'm definitely going to keep that. All right, let's check out this one, this Blofeld strings. Oops. All right, that's some nice rich pads. It sounds like it was recorded with sidechain ducking on it. You can hear kind of the level wavering up and down a little bit. So that's kind of that sequence, that's kind of the main theme of the whole track. I feel like that's an important thing to keep. But I don't love how it sounds because of the ducking from the compression. I already kind of know what I want to do with this, and I already have it set up from the electro version that I did previously. So I actually have that brought into the session. So all right, and then we have just a simple clap. And that's decent. You know, it sounds like, you know, an 808 sort of clap with some saturation and some reverb. It's a little extra crunchy. You know, there's a million sounds like this out there. But since we are sticking to trying to use as many of the original sounds as possible and not adding too much, with a couple of exceptions, I'm going to just use it as it is. Maybe chop it and then, you know, make a new rhythm out of it. All right, and then we've got 808 cymbal. That's definitely usable, easily usable. We've got a drum loop, which definitely easy to use, and this will work in a techno context as well. And we've got some more hi-hats, 808 hi-hat switch. Again, I could probably chop these up and use a couple of individual slices closed open and make a new rhythm out of it. All right, 808 kick along with that hi-hat. I'm definitely not going to use this rhythm. But again, we're trying to use the sound, so I'm going to leave that. It's basic enough. I can do I can do a lot just adding effects to it. I could even turn that into a bass sound with enough distortion and some filters and stuff like that. All right, some more synths. All right, so it's that same chord progression, but on a different synth. It's got some rhythmic modulation on there. I could see using that. I feel like I could use this chopped into little stabs or repeated, or it could be some kind of dubby techno thing easily with like the minor triad that's playing. So that's definitely going to stay. And then we have... All right, again, it's the same chord progression. This one, I think, my first impression is no. I have the other pads, the other kind of more rich one, the main one, and I think this sound is a little bit too vintage. It sounds like a 70s, late 70s, early 80s kind of synth, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and delete that completely. All right, and then we've got... Right. Now, I actually, when I did the electro remix already, I didn't use this one then. So I don't know. I feel like maybe I should try to use it now. But even just one note from this. So this could be deconstructed for sure. I can't guarantee I'm going to fit it in today, but I'm going to be open to this one. All right. And then we have rim shots. Actually, it sounds like a rim shot along with another percussion sound, like a hi-hat. I mean, that definitely I can use. I love an 808 snare. Depending on the style, I don't hear a lot of that kind of 808 snare at least in heavier techno. You don't hear it so much, but it could be used. I would use this maybe rather than a 2 and the 4 on the backbeat kind of a snare. I could use it as something syncopated, probably like filling in the beat a little bit. All right, and then we have yet another layer. This is a nicer sound, I think. This is a maybe. But I feel like I already have, for a techno track, I already have enough synth, like pad string kind of synth sounds. All right, we've got... I don't love it, I'll be honest. I used this in my electro version of Remix, but I put a lot of effects on it. I totally turned it into something else. But this time, I think, no. All right, a couple other, let's just go the rest of these quickly. All right, definitely can use that. Some stabs, that with a bunch of reverb on it would be great. That definitely can be used. One more synth stab. Actually, yeah, that could be like a little percussion sound. It's very electro sounding. That's a maybe. All right, and then of course there's the vocoder. Definitely have to use the vocoder because it's kind of like one of the main elements. Although I processed it a lot in my version, my other version, so I'm going to use that one. And then we have some more. I think you guys already know that this for me is like one of the most electro sounds possible. Just that little zap, or it's not exactly like the 808 trigger, but it's very similar. So that one, I like it. I love those sounds. It works with techno as well. So cool. Now that I've gone through all those parts, so like I've already done some of the work here that I was thinking about. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete all of these extra stems that I put in there so I could show you. And then and then what I ended up doing was, instead of, like I said earlier, instead of working on the timeline, I have everything in the session view, and I'm working to sort of re-edit, recreate, resynthesize, effects process, and make a whole new thing out of it. Cool. So that's where we're at. Wow, that already took a bunch of time just to go through the parts. So let's see what I've got here. All right. Oh, I should also mention because we're doing the giveaway of Crystallizer, I'm trying to incorporate. I'll be honest, I don't use Crystallizer all that much, so I'm curious. Like, okay, this is what we're giving away this week. Let's see what it can do. So I'm playing around a little bit with Crystallizer. It's pretty much a pitch shifting granular delay. So it's similar, a little bit similar to what you can do with the Live's grain delay, actually, just with some extra different tone, different modulation possibilities, that kind of thing. All right, let me just turn that off for a second. So that's the original bass line. Got it EQ'd, and I'm just trying to make it a little bit more crunchy, dirty, less of a bass, more of a synth sound in the middle. And then I was experimenting with just totally destroying it with Crystallizer. All right. So because I'm trying to do a techno thing, I set sort of the flavor for myself. The two sounds that I added to this that aren't in the original are a kick drum and a hi-hat. Just so I'm like, I want it to be pumping. You know, I want it to have that kind of heavy rolling techno beat, right? So I've got a highly compressed, tight, very modern kick, right? It actually has more of that sort of, the sample has more of the sort of rumbly reverb in it, but I'm decaying it out just so it's a little tighter sounding. That plus just your basic kick and open hi-hat. So it's definitely going to be a strong techno groove underneath all these more electro-oriented sounds. And then I decided to take a small loop from this bass and repeat it so it's less syncopated, so it's more driving. Sort of more jacking like that. Not loving it. Right, I'm exploring what I can do with Crystallizer. I just started with it, you know, it said techno loop, so I figure I'm trying to make techno. Why not start with that? It's okay, it's doing this metallic thing. Let's see if I can get it tighter, right? It's very ringy. This thing has a gate and a duck built in, so you can kind of move the effect out of the way or chop it up a little bit. So I'm gating it now. The splice control is the granular part of it. It's repeating stuff. And recycle, I guess, is kind of like feedback. And then, you know, it's a stereo effect. You can offset the left and the right values. All right, so that's a maybe. Let's see what else I got going on. A lot of parts to play with, to be honest. All right, another idea I had was making the vocoder, instead of it having be just like occasional words on top, using it like a synth, looping it, maybe chopping it. So this is where I started. Sounds good with some delay on it. I'm just moving the loop around to hear how different parts of the vocoder sample work with the groove. And it becomes less like, you know, I can't understand what it says anyway. It's definitely a vocal of some kind running through the vocoder. But I'm trying to take it out of context and use it as a repetitive synth part. Any one of these could be good. I kind of like it when it's more broken up. Quite bright. I'm using, this was kind of a trick. I used the spectral resonator to kind of re-synthesize the vocoder to make it sound more vocoder-y. This is how it sounds without it. That actually sounds cool too. And here's with the resonator. The zaps going on. So that's the original drum loop. Actually, it sounds like this. And I decided I wanted to get rid of that little high-pitched note in there. So I have a copy of it. And this is an easy thing that I do all the time with loops, is I just use the volume automation to cut out part of it, just to chop it up a little bit. And it's creating a rhythmic variation. And actually, if I want to, it's a little empty now, I can fill it in with a delay. I like that. Let's hear what it sounds like, just the groove. With or without the delay? Actually, it's good chopped too, like that. All right, now here's the snare. And normally it would sound like this. But I'm just gonna offset it by a 16th note. All right, I like that. It's, again, that rolling kind of a vibe. And as far as the original kick, now, I'm using my own kick sample for the main 4 on the floor kick, but I decided to use the fast syncopated part of the 808, original 808 kick, to make a rumbling kind of in between. So that ended up sounding like this. And I haven't processed it yet, but basically, that's the original pitch. Together with my kick. But I wanted it to be a little bit more distinct, so I raised the pitch a little bit. And then, maybe I'm going to use some distortion to make it more dirty, more thick. Let's try. It's giving it some tone, actually. What happens if I use the hard curve too much? I feel like that hi-hat needs some effects on it. Right, now we're pushing. I'm gonna go back to this guy. I'm gonna see if I can make this fit. I don't like it now. It sounded better earlier before I started streaming, and now I messed it up. I'm not sure. Let's go through some presets. Let's just see what happens. It's kind of cool as just a background effect. I wouldn't use that as a main sound. That's another fun thing that the Crystallizer does, is it alternates backwards and forwards, the echoes. Anyway, I feel like I was on the fence about this sound in the beginning. I feel like it might be time to just say, that's not going to be what we're going to use today. Let's take a moment, now that we're at the halfway point, see how the chat's doing, catch up, see if there are any questions. Of course, you are watching 343 TV. My name is John Selway. And, if you haven't joined the giveaway, we've got the Crystallizer from Sound Toys that I've been trying to make work with this bass sample. So join in there if you want to have a chance to win. There's a link in here somewhere. And we're going to announce this very shortly, who the winner is. This is pretty much your last chance if you haven't already joined. And alrighty. Craftworky. Shen says craftworky. Yeah, I'm trying to make it less craftworky now. We're starting with an electro track, which obviously all electro, 99% of electro comes from Kraftwerk and it's their influence on music. So yeah, there's a lot of Kraftwerk-esque elements that I'm trying to kind of de-accentuate that and make it more modern, tough techno. But of course, I love mixing electro and techno as well. That's always, if that's where we end up going to, that's fine. Cool. Flocky the Ram. What? Pitch shifting? Granular? Yes. Yeah, it's really nice. I feel like Crystallizer is a bit of a sleeper. I will admit that pitch shifted delays, it's a sound and it stands out. And it's very easy for it to be too much. Like running through some of these presets on certain sounds, you're like, oh, okay, another crazy pitch thing, right? But used carefully, right, and subtly, it's a very powerful effect. Or also, if you just want to go crazy and experiment with it, it's really good to deconstruct stuff and make new things out of it. So, absolutely. I suppose we should get back to the music. Where were we? I love it. It's like we're 40 minutes in and we've got kick drum, hi-hat, and looping 808 rolling bass. I'm going to try this one again. I like it better. Simple, just those two little... Clap. Now I ended up I just took the clap and put it in a sampler and just played a new rhythm. Easy. We have our drum loop from before. I might cut some more out of that. Better. Stripping it down. All right, so these are the original 808 kind of groovy hi-hats. Not sure about these. Maybe even just, I don't need like 8 bars of this. If I just using 16th notes. If I loop it. Offset it so the louder one is the upbeat. That's more the rolling groove we want, right? It doesn't need to be too syncopated and changing all the time. Not even sure about where the downbeat should be. I might change that later. All right, so now I need to figure out what to do with some of these synth parts. I feel like the basic sort of banging beat is together. Let's play around with some of the synths. I like this, but it's also a little bit messy somehow in this context. It worked great in the original. I think I just want to isolate part of this, right? So I made a new MIDI track and dragged that sample into the simpler, and I'm just playing part of it here. And that, just a little bit of it sounds good. And then with the filter, I have velocity controlling the filter frequency so I can play around with it a little bit. But I want velocity off of volume so it doesn't go too quiet. Let's put a compressor on this, keep it loud. It's getting dubby now, isn't it? Let's hear how it sounds. Oop, 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 oop. Okay, those chords don't need to be in there. Something about the kick drum tuning is bothering me. Let's lose that for a second. getting housey. Sometimes the sound will just take you there. What do you guys say about this sound? Is it going the right way? No Lambda says the 808 hats, it's offset. I don't feel it. Really? I'm just curious. Let's get the open hi-hat and all the other percussion out of there. The clap is what I feel is off right now, to be honest. That sounds tight. But, maybe we don't want to have it that, maybe we just want to keep it more simple. Like, maybe that is better. It's tighter. Sound card is lagging today. It's like the buffer's high. Kind of like it darker. All right, let's make this more of a 2-beat loop, a little more repetitive, a little more hypnotizing. That's better already. It's all about finding that groove with the right groove for the sound. What happens if we modulate the filter a little bit? That's better. It's percussive. All right, I'm gonna put the 808 rolling thing back in and tune it so it fits. See, it's too much, right? Okay, I can live with this. Sounding more techno for sure. That's okay. Let's see what happens. All right. I wanted to talk about this too, like how to make these strings. Like, this is going to be like, there's going to be a break. I forgot to turn off the 808 offset comment. I'm not going to have these big strings in all the time, like sustaining. I want most of the track to be stripped down, drums, a couple of things, not too chilled out and melodic, and then have a big statement with the main chords in a break and then go back to just the beats. But, I mentioned how these they sound nice, but they're wobbly, right? They're like floating up and down because of the sidechain compression or whatever is going on with that sound. And what I did, and I did the same thing in my electro mix of this, is I took that sample and put it in a granular synth. And I was able to make it sort of re-synthesize it and make it sound full and wide and clean and stronger. So that I used Pigments for that. Pigments is like really great, powerful synth. We already know it can do wavetable and subtractive, and it's also got a sampler and a granular sampler. In addition to now they have additive as well with the harmonic one. But so that's the sample from the original. This it's from a Waldorf Blofeld, great synth. And this is what I turned it into, basically. Like, compare that to this. Oh, let's solo it. Same sound, right? But without the little... Maybe it's gating or something to make it sound more rhythmic. It's got a rhythm to it. So I wanted it to sound more full and bright. So I'm just using, there's a little bit at the beginning. You can see the grains bouncing around in there. And what's really nice is that at the very beginning of the sample, there's like the tail end of another chord that's at a fifth higher. And so it's mixing in some of those higher notes. All right. And then from then on, I mean, it was really easy to put that together. All I did was adjust the sample start position and grain position and the density, high density, makes it sound really rich like that. And then we can filter that. All right. Let's hear how it sounds. Let's mute the chord stab thing that I just made. I like the sound of that. The sound engine in Pigments is great, and especially using the granular, it's taking all those little pieces of the sample and spreading them out in stereo. It's really sweet sounding. Cool. Let's check in a little bit with the chat, see how we're doing. Absent likes the 808 hi-hats. We all have our different tastes. Alistair says, I'd slap a trance gate on those strings. But then that would make it trance. Actually, I don't mind a little trance. And I know nowadays it's kind of nice and nostalgic, especially to hear some of the stuff from the 90s. But I'm curious. Let's see. How would this sound, now that you mention it? How would this sound with... I mean, there's a million different ways to do this. The old school way would be sending like a drum trigger to a gate to open up to play a rhythm. Nowadays, we have plugins that can do rhythmic gating effects. I could do it in the synth. The easiest way, though, I'm going to do the fast and easy way, and that is an auto pan. Oh, I'm going to turn Soothe on. That's taking up a lot of CPU power. Or turn Soothe off, sorry. So we're going to sync this. We're going to make the phase 0. We're going to make it a downward sawtooth. We're going to make the amount all the way up. And now we have our trance gate. Although I think if I was using a hi-hat and it was going doing the short long thing, that would be a little bit more 90s style. But how does that sound together? Out of sync. Let's put it in sync. It's, you know, you're giving it that fast rhythm. It's still atmospheric. It doesn't sound as big though when you do that. It sounds sort of more reduced and in the background with the gate, or with the, now I'm using the auto pen to chop it up. But nice idea. I will think about that. Cool. I know you didn't see what I just did there, but you heard it. What else is going on in the chat here? No Lambda says, never stepped upon came upon a granular synth, good for harmonic purposes too, with some crossfading between the chords on the audio source. Absolutely. That's exactly the thing. If you go into a granular synth and you put in a sample that has different notes or different chords, you can mix it all together and create new harmonies. It's really nice. And finally, yes, it is time to announce our winner. Congratulations to Paul, aka Paul Music. You are the winner of the SoundToys Crystallizer plugin. Congratulations. Very nice. Everybody give it up for Paul. And cool. Gunther, are you saying that the gate is awful? Which part is awful? Maybe the gate, right? It kind of takes away the power of the sound in a way. Cool. And yes, Alistair, exactly. That whole synth thing with the granular, the pads, it's really for a break. It's not going to be in all the time. You know, once I get down to arranging this, if I get down to arranging this. And nice. We've got a few more minutes, 2 or 3 more minutes. I'm just going to go through this again. I know I've got more work to do, obviously. But in terms of like what I actually accomplished on the stream today, I like the beat. The beat is there. And I'm having second thoughts about looping the vocoder like that. I mean, it's cool. I could make a whole track just out of that, modulating the sound and playing around with it. But it might also be cool to just have it stab here and there. Like, even if it were just like through a huge reverb. And leaving it to space out. All right, you know what I think I'm gonna do? Let's do this. Let's slice that vocoder. So let's drop that into the live simpler, right? And now I can hit these. All right, of course it needs all of this on it. I'm gonna take the same effects I have from the other track, copy them over after that simpler. All right, and then we need that's cool. Just having those be sort of like stabs every now and then. So another idea for deconstructing it a little bit. Can move these transients around. Oh, that could be fun. I won't go into the rabbit hole now, but you can hear sort of the possibilities of just making a new sequence by chopping that. It could just be random even. But that's going to be good, especially a little bit of delay and the occasional. Okay. All right, I feel like I got a pretty good start. It's 2 o'clock. That is all the time we have today. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Congratulations again to our winner, to Paul, for getting the Sound Toys Crystallizer. And some nice comments today, some good questions. Sorry I didn't get to everybody, but yes, thanks. I agree. There are some cool sounds in there. I've got a good starting point for a new mix should I decide to complete this.
I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you want to watch the full stream, head over to studio.343labs.com, link in the description below. And that is our new producer hub where you can find free content, collaborate with other musicians, get feedback on your music, and just meet a community of like-minded artists and producers. See you next time.